Massachusetts has long been a destination for visitors from around the country and around the world, but that changed abruptly with the pandemic, leaving many people in state without jobs or hurting for destinations in other places. One solution to both problems is an effort to promote some places to go and things to do in Massachusetts. To tell us about the campaign, my local MA is the executive director of the state's Office of Travel and Tourism, Keiko Matsudo Orrall. Thank you very much for being with us.
Happy to be here.
Vic, I want to talk about what this has been like for you at the office, because the situation that I think so many of us are familiar with right now, the sort of the plunge in tourism, that means you had to do quite a pivot, didn't it?
The tourism industry has been hit hard, and so we as an agency are responding to as much as we can do to help. The Baker-Polito administration is committed to the small businesses that represent the hospitality industry, and so we are pivoting, and this campaign is about that pivot.
Well, one of the things you must have been trying to think of here is that there's a side of the equation with people here in Massachusetts who can't go anywhere, or at least it's very difficult for them to go anywhere, and they have some urges that they want to satisfy by getting around. So what are you pitching to exactly?
Chris, the idea is to buy, stay local, eat local. We have a wonderful state. We have so many opportunities, and it's really just an effort to have people within our state open their eyes. It's typically not what our agency would be tasked with as far as reaching out to Massachusetts residents, and that's the pivot. But we have opportunities to really make a difference for our small businesses and to help them help the public at large to understand how much local matters and how much these small businesses are the fabric of our communities.
Well, one of the oldest destinations here in Boston is the Freedom Trail. A lot of people here have been there and done that, but you've got another kind of a trail that you like to direct people toward.
Well, yes, I do, and it goes along with the 100th anniversary of the women's right to vote. Our office worked on a historic women trailblazers guide. It's available at our website, visitma.com, and it focuses really on over 70 women who have made a historic difference in the Commonwealth and across the globe. So there are commemorations, there are statues, there are plaques, there are things to see and do along the trail. Many of them are free, and it's new, it's different, and you know, the Freedom Trail is absolutely important. You know, there are other historic trails that are great, but this is one of the new ones that came out of our office even during the pandemic.
Well, one thing about trails is that they do lead to other places. So if you run this particular trail, it's not going to be so long before you come across maybe a restaurant or maybe another kind of thing to check out, right?
Exactly. And many of them are located around areas that have other attractions. So I think it's an added interest where people, it's brand new. So it's a wonderful guide, and it's really an important opportunity to highlight women this year.
You've also formed a number of partnerships for this campaign, and I think if you can tell us a little bit about that, that also conveys the sense of the pivot. So what kind of organizations are we talking about?
So proud of those connections that we've made. So our office has 16 regional tourism councils that we work with across the state. Each one of those is focused on their individual region to highlight the unique aspects of the region, from the Berkshires to Boston to the Cape. So there are different unique aspects around the Commonwealth. So we have 16 of those, and so we're partnered with them, but we're also partnered with our chambers of commerce, our business improvement districts, our main streets, our local first, downtown business groups. And there's really been a warm embrace of this concept, and people instinctively know that it's really important at this critical time.
Oh, I tried navigating the website around this, and when I got down to Main Street, I learned some things I didn't know, like around Nubian Square. There weren't just some businesses that were still serving food safely, but there were things to do.
That's the idea. That's what we're trying to put out there. We're trying to help people shift their behavior from from maybe sitting on the couch and just surfing to getting out and getting out safely. So our campaign is My Local MA, and it's also hashtag Mask Up MA. So we're well aware of that, but there are opportunities to support local businesses, and especially with the seasons changing, it's critical that people understand how much their behavior matters.
One of the other things that occurred to me from looking over the website is that some of these Main Street districts are also pretty close to some really nice bike trails in Boston. So is this maybe an idea here? Combine a bike ride with a little refreshment afterward?
I think you just came up with that. I think that's a great idea. I think that all of those outdoor activities that are encouraging people to socially distance, but then also enjoy a meal or do some shopping, that's a great idea.
Well, another question here, and I think maybe this is something that might have been going on when you were developing this campaign, is that it's not just about people, the consumers changing their behavior, but it's also about how businesses engage with people. What do they have to do now that's different?
Well, I think it's what we heard throughout the pandemic on a regular call. Secretary Keneally had a regular call to keep businesses informed as to what the reopening process was, what's happening. And I think what we heard was that they needed some help with marketing and getting, they're now open safely, they're ready, but they need the customers to come in. And so the genesis was through that effort, that through the business community, that there is an opportunity to just get the message out to people that they can come in. We have a business toolkit on our website. If there are businesses that are interested in joining in and seeing what they can do to join in, it would be downloading the logo. It would be using the hashtags on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and then they'll start to reap the benefits of the larger campaign.
I want to ask you one question, because I know if people can still have it in their budget to go out for a meal, what does that do for them psychologically, instead of being cooped up in the house almost all the time? Does that help in some way?
It helps tremendously, and I know from my own experience, we just recently, over the Columbus Day weekend, we took a staycation. We were in Massachusetts. We got to see a beautiful part of the Commonwealth that we normally, I don't know that we would necessarily go, but because I'm walking I'm working in this movement, I wanted to stay here in Massachusetts rather than give my money to New Hampshire, rather than give my money to Maine. I wanted to give my money to Massachusetts. So it's put your money where your heart is, right here in Massachusetts. So there are really good opportunities around the state for people to explore. It's about reopening your eyes to the opportunities.
Well, your website is certainly a good place to start with that, and we should once again say to our viewers where it is, what it's called, so they can find it.
Sure, it's findmylocalma.com. And it's a site that is meant to give you information on what the movement is about, why it's important, why it matters. It matters to the small businesses now more than ever. And it'll provide links to different agencies that can direct you to businesses in your region.
Well, thank you very much for taking time to join us.
Thank you so much for the opportunity.
That was Keiko Matsudo Orrall from the State's Office of Travel and Tourism. We'll have more information in just a moment.